Hey everyone, hello Mizrahi here. This is the Mizrahi Perspective. Welcome. Ben Salman is in Washington, and yesterday the United Nations Security Council voted for the Trump plan for Gaza. And many people are understandably upset about this. And I want to talk about this and where we are right now and where I think this is going. But first, I want to talk about the Ben Salman visit and the vote yesterday, because many people on Twitter and I'm guessing on other platforms as well are so disappointed that Russia and China didn't veto this decision. And this has become kind of the majority view now on Twitter among lefties and the pro-Palestinian camp. And I wanted to say something about this because this appealed to me. This idea that Russia and China should have vetoed that decision is so naive, it is almost sweet. It is almost sweet. Because when we say stuff like this, we need to think about this a second longer. And to demonstrate to you why I find this idea so naive, let me run a game by you. Let's play a game, okay? I'll play Lavrov, the foreign minister of Russia. And for purposes of this game, I'm going to have a piece of paper and a pen and a telephone, which it's easy for all of us to believe Lavrov has. And on this piece of paper that I have, using this pen or maybe another pen, Lavrov has a list of countries with the phone numbers of their representatives, their foreign ministers or prime minister or whoever Lavrov wants to talk to. And Lavrov, a week ago or 10 days ago, because if you remember, Russia tried to come up with its own proposal. And I'm quite certain that this game that I'm running by you now is what Lavrov actually did, Lavrov or someone else in the Russian diplomatic service. And Lavrov is calling, say, the Algerian prime minister or foreign minister. And Lavrov says, how are you? What's up? You've heard about the American plan for Gaza? Yes. The Algerian representative heard about this. And Lavrov asks him, we have a counter proposal. And we want to run our proposal by the United Nations Security Council. And this contradicts America's plan and has other details, and it omits some details that the American plan has. If we run this by the United Nations Security Council, would you vote with us? Would you vote for our proposal against America's will? Because we are going to veto, say we veto the American plan, and we bring for vote our plan. So are you going to vote with us, vote against the American plan, and vote for our plan? And the Algerian representative says no. So Lavrov says, okay, tell the wife I said hi. He hangs up the phone and calls the next person on this list. Okay, maybe the Egyptian foreign minister, and then the Tunisian, and then the Saudi Arabia, and then one more country, and even the Palestinian Authority. And Lavrov asks them, if we veto the American plan and bring our own plan on the table for a vote on the United Nations Security Council, would you support such a move? And everyone says no. So how and why would Russia veto the American plan? What would it gain and what can it offer instead? You can't just veto a plan that all the stakeholders are interested in for reasons I am going to get into in a second. So how does it make sense for Russia to bring up this idea and to veto the American plan when Russia and China know that there's no way the parties are going to support their own plan. It doesn't make any sense diplomatically, because what would happen in this scenario? If they vetoed the American play, if they had vetoed it, Israel and the US would resume the carnage in Gaza. And they would say, this is with a stamp of approval from Russia. Russia approved this. Russia and China, it's their fault. Now, this is not the end of the world to be blamed, because the US blames Russia and China every day for something new. But what would they gain? What is there to gain for them? And now people would say this is a symbolic move. This would show that there is resistance to colonialism. And this makes me laugh even harder. This is the really funny part. Because people don't get where they live. People don't get the kind of reality that we operate in and function in. This is not the 1960s or 70s or 80s, when the West had strong unions and France had a strong communist party, and Italy had a strong communist party, and even Germany had a strong left wing or even radical left wing. All of this doesn't exist anymore. This is not the 1960s and 70s where Arab countries have socialist powers running things, socialist parties and representatives, pan-Arabists, or just socialists, people who are political and anti-imperial and anti-colonial. We don't have these actors in today's reality, in today's geopolitics. Those actors don't exist anymore. No Arab political parties that are communist or socialist, and they used to be very strong in the Arab world. People don't know it, but they used to be very strong. They were strong even in Iran before the revolution, as I learned just this week talking to an Iranian friend. You had an entire array of political powers in the West and in Arab countries that understood the game and were willing to play. They were willing to risk and to sacrifice and to act. But we don't have this anymore. If Russia and China want to advance anti-colonialism or anti-Western imperialism, and I know that many people in the West now see China and Russia as imperial, and this is a big problem. This is one of the ways the deep state, the American deep state, neutralized resistance in the West by convincing people that Russia and China are just as evil or even more evil. I'm talking for leftists. Among the general public, yeah, Russia is the greatest evil that exists. So Russia and China don't have anyone to work with, not in society, not in terms of international organizations. So how can they wage this war? Who's going to echo and resonate what they initiate, what they start? Who's going to act on it? Who is going to organize a huge demonstration in Washington to stop a war, to stop a genocide, to stop an invasion? Look what's happening in the US. The US almost went to war with Iran. No one uttered a word. No one uttered a word. The Democrats were for it. The Republicans were for it. The media was for it. The people didn't say a word. You didn't see one demonstration. The US is about to invade Venezuela. Have you seen a demonstration of Americans, millions of people, demanding that the country not invade Venezuela or not go to war with any country? We've seen this is a joke. This is a joke. It's a joke. You didn't see this in London. 2 years of genocide, of Holocaust, televised, irrefutable. You didn't see one serious, serious demonstration with a serious demand and a serious threat to power. If you don't stop your involvement, our country's involvement in this Holocaust, we are going to disrupt life so bad that this country will not function. Have we seen anything like this? We haven't. We haven't seen anything like this in the Arab world. We haven't seen one major demonstration in Egypt to stop the genocide. I'm not talking about Saudi Arabia because this is a joke. So why would Russia and China go to diplomatic war with Western countries when they have no support and no cooperation and no one to even understand the game, no one to even understand the game that we're playing? People need to know and to recognize where we live, what kind of political landscape we're functioning in. We live in an IKEA world. This is a showroom. Everything is fake. Everything is fake. Everything that we see, all the political discussion, the elections, the media, the social media, the higher education, it is all fake. It's theater. It's nonsense. It doesn't mean anything. No one means anything. No one wants to do anything. No one wants to change anything. The biggest political radicals in the West now are men in dresses. Men in dresses who demand to be addressed as women, which, by the way, is none of my. I'm not against this. I hardly have an opinion about this because this to me is utterly absurd as a political agenda. But this is what the West has now. What kind of war you can have when these are your soldiers, when this is the forces that you have? You can't achieve anything. You can't do anything. You can't fight anything. We live in an IKEA culture. IKEA culture. This is all fake. People want to watch Netflix and sit on an IKEA sofa. They don't care about humanity. They don't care about their fellow human beings. They don't care about the fate of the planet or anyone else. It's all a joke. We are drugged. Society is numb and drugged, intoxicated, indifferent, apathetic, in coma. This is not the standard. People used to go on serious demonstration. Look at what happened in the US in the 60s. This is America. This is the same America, the same country, but you can't recognize it. People were willing to risk being shot by police to defend black people, to defend the equal rights of black people, which never happened, but they actually were willing to risk it. No one, not one or two people, thousands of people. People were willing to risk jail time and being blacklisted in a very serious way to object and resist the Vietnam War. And in Europe, students' demonstrations were disruptive in a major way. And in the Arab world, you had people who were actually political. Actually political. Listen to Nasser's speeches. He got it. He understood, and he wasn't alone. He had backing. He had infrastructure. He had people. He had parties. He had media outlets that understood the game. All of this doesn't exist anymore. You have just yada 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 about gender and the climate, the planet, and you go home to watch Netflix and sit on your IKEA sofa in a dress or not in a dress. Who gives a fuck? Who cares about this? Is this a political struggle? So why would Russia and China go to a diplomatic war when even the Palestinian Authority wants the American deal and accepts foreign rule in Gaza and doesn't do anything to stop Israeli expansion and settlements and torture and arrests and ethnic cleansing and fucking Holocaust? So does it make sense for China and Russia? And their resources are not endless. Their agenda is full. Now the US is about to invade Mexico as well, not only Venezuela. They're at least making threats. They are not able to carry out something like this. But if you are a Mexican politician, if you are Sheinbaum, who is lovely, who is just fantastic, I love her, an excellent leader. If you're Sheinbaum or if you're Maduro, you are very anxious now. When the US unleashes its CIA dogs on you, this is scary. This is scary. They have destroyed 100 countries. And they are not done with Iran. They are not done with Ukraine. They are not done with Armenia and Georgia and Poland and the Baltic states and Scandinavia. And the so-called Uyghur genocide. They are not done trying to break China and drag Japan to war with China and Taiwan to war with China. They are not done. This is all they do. This is all the empire does. Destroy other people's countries and lives. They're not done with Korea. China and Russia need to play chess on an amazing level to counter all this. To stabilize their front, to maintain their homeland, to keep their countries intact, to think about new ways for the global south to survive and develop another year, another decade. They understand the magnitude of the American onslaught, not only American, Western onslaught. Everywhere, in Yemen, in the Middle East, everywhere, everywhere. So it doesn't make any sense for Russia and China to veto a resolution which would only result in more carnage and diplomatic damage for them to achieve absolutely nothing and maybe harm their standing and their ability to defend other countries in other places that actually want to fight, that have radical forces for liberation. China and Russia can save Egypt or Saudi Arabia. Why would they sacrifice trillions and risk war? Who in Egypt or Saudi Arabia wants change? We live in an IKEA world. Everything is fake. No one cares. This is all pretend. All of it. To have this kind of an anti-imperial war or campaign, because this needs to be sustained. It can't be one act of defiance at the United Nations Security Council. I mean, the US vetoed one proposal after another for ceasefire in Gaza, for international intervention. What have the Arab countries Done. What did they do? They did nothing. They continued cooperating with Israel. They continued cooperating with the US. Israel actually bombed Qatar. What did Qatar do? It continued to negotiate with Israel, continued to host American forces. So you understand how absurd it sounds to accept that Russia and China will step in this kind of atmosphere, in this landscape. It just makes no sense. It makes no sense. But I will tell you, this was the terrible part. Now I'm going to give you the other perspective. Why I'm not pessimistic and why I've definitely not lost hope. Definitely not. Even when I see Ben Salman at the White House saying that Saudi Arabia is willing to or wanting to be part of the Abraham Accords, these stupid accords with a stupid name, it doesn't worry me. In this IKEA world that we live in, because Saudi Arabia says something very simple. Very simple. We are willing or we want to be part of the Abraham Accords, but Israel needs to make practical steps to allow a Palestinian state to be established. And this is very low key resistance to Israeli aspirations, to Zionist aspirations to Western colonialism. However, whatever name you want to give to this demonic monster. Nevertheless, this modest demand, the most basic, the most ground floor, ground level, is enough to destabilize Israel to such a degree that it would accelerate its self-destruction and downward spiral. Because you see, and if you're looking at this from the outside, from Europe or the US or from Vietnam or China, or we now have discovered that the world is actually larger than what CNN told us or Western education told us. Now we see that there are people in Hong Kong and Vietnam and all over the world. And they are well educated, they have political opinions. This is amazing stuff. I don't think they ever planned for this. This is a byproduct of modern technology, and we should be so thankful for it. But if you're looking at this reality from outside, you don't get this. Why do I say something that sounds so extreme? Why is the demand that Israel allows a Palestinian state? How come this is so? Why do I describe this as something that can deconstruct and disintegrate Israel? It's something that's hard to understand. But believe me, Israel is going to never, 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 in a million, trillion, gazillion years, allow a Palestinian state to be established. Israel is never going to allow something like this. Never. When I say never, I mean never. Israel would rather have a nuclear war and total annihilation of the planet and other planets and other constellations to prevent a Palestinian state. Denying and breaking and destroying Palestinian identity and Palestinian rights and Palestinian history and Palestinian legitimacy and Palestinian life and Palestinian property, Palestinian dignity. This is the center of Zionism. This is the heart of Zionism. This is what this is all about. It's not about a country for Jews. Jews have many places they can live. But they have just one country where they can legally destroy and oppress another people. And this is the heart of the entire thing. This has become existential for Israel, and it's delirium. This is not reality. This is fantasy. This is nightmare. There is no scenario in which Israel allows a Palestinian state. Never. This is never going to happen. Never going to happen. Never going to happen. It is especially not going to happen now. I mean, have you seen the IDF? Have you seen the kind of, and this is Israel. This is a good representation of Israeli society. Because in Israel, everyone has to go to the military, all Jews, in principle. You've seen settlers. Think about millions of people like this, with this mentality. Millions of people who would become Hitlers or Eichmanns for Palestinians in a heartbeat. They say it openly. It's not me defaming anyone. They are saying it themselves. In the Likud party, in many other parties, on Israeli street, on Israeli media. You think these people are going to be convinced that maybe we should recognize Palestine and let Palestinians live as normal human beings? Are you kidding me? This is never going to happen in a million years. The entire identity of the Israeli right wing is based on the denial of Palestinian rights and Palestinian humanity and Palestinian dignity. This is all they do, this is all they care about, to expand settlements, to run over Palestinians, to shoot them, to humiliate them, to destroy them. This is their entire life. This is what they do. This is what they dream about. This is what they get out of bed for, to humiliate and destroy Palestinians. This is their life. This is the center of their identity. This is the center of their religious identity. This is Israel now. There is no other Israel. This is Israel where every major journalist said we need to kill all of them. We need to kill all of them. There are no innocents in Gaza. The fucking president said it. And rabbis and IDF commanders. And this is, do you imagine this country? And I think that either Arabs are completely stupid and idiots for imagining that Israel would agree to something like this, or they're self-deluded. The other possibility is they are playing a game, laying a trap for Israel to fall in. And this is why I am not pessimistic and I am not hopeless. Because in this IKEA world that I describe, where everything is fake, and there's a fake politeness, and you have the World Economic Forum, where you have one Pakistani billionaire and one Belgian pedophile and another German banker, also a pedophile, and another, they're all pedophiles now. This is what we're discovering. And they sit and they make stupid jokes, ha ha ha, la 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 la. And this is like the capitalist utopia that's being offered to us. Even in this madhouse of late capitalism that we live now. To participate in this, you at least need to be able to pretend, like Jolani is doing now, that you can be normal. Jolani can do it. Israel can't. Israel can't pretend to be normal. It can't. There is no way. And I'm telling you, remember this, we'll go back to this. Israel is never going to allow a Palestinian state. And when pressure from the outside is going to be applied, like it's starting now, for Israel to recognize, or to allow, to make it possible, this is going to start unleashing all the Israeli demons from all the boxes where they are still asleep. This is going to send settlers berserk completely, even more than now. This is sending Israel to fight Hezbollah, to fight Lebanon. Why do you think they're doing this? As I've said many times before, they cannot be and act normal. If there's peace, if there's calm, they are fucked. And if there's war, they are also fucked. So they need to maintain this eternal in between. There's war and peace, and war and peace, and war always like this, always like this. Trying to control the flames. When they get too high, they go to the US and tell the US, you make some fake convention, some fake something, to make it look that like we want, like we're willing to compromise. But as soon as the US does this and fake something internationally, Israel moves on to the next aggression, to the next war, because it can't be normal. It can't be normal. It's based on insanity. It's based on supremacy and isolation and exceptionalism and control and sadism. So when Ben Salman or other Arab countries are telling Israel, well, with everything that happened, we are willing to accept you. Just let Palestinians have their own state. This is like a trigger word for someone like someone was hypnotized and instructed to react insanely when they hear a certain word. I mean, they're like spy movies like this. This is how you get triggered into action. For Israel and for Israelis, a Palestinian state is this code. They go crazy. So Netanyahu now is taking some time to relax, to deceive everyone into thinking that he's considering this, okay? And all he's doing is planning the next fuckery. How to sabotage this. How to sabotage this in such a way that the US will still be on Israel's side, on Netanyahu's side. This is all he's doing now. I swear to you, on every grave and tree that you can imagine, this is all he's doing now. This is all he's doing. And the choices Israel has are not many now, because it's become trapped. Going to war with Iran is going to be extremely costly. Going to full-on war with Hezbollah is going to be very costly. And I think it's about to happen this way or another. If Hezbollah is not really completely defeated and only pretending to still exist, I don't know. I don't think this is the situation. And the West Bank is about to explode. The West Bank, including East Jerusalem, including Al-Quds. Because what is Israel going to say now about the way it treats Palestinians in the West Bank? The people it has been occupying for over 60 years, almost 60 years. So either Israel goes to war with Iran or Hezbollah, or goes to war in the West Bank to start the ethnic cleansing there. But this is also risky. Or Israel does something completely different and drives the US completely crazy and finds a creative way to replace Trump that is now forcing Israel to compromise with the Palestinians because he's greedy. Because the people in his cabinet want money. They don't care about Zionism or this hill or this town or Hebron. Or it doesn't mean anything to them. They want money. And Arabs have money now. So they want something, sign anything that will give them access to Arab money. And they are forcing Israel now to accept things that we couldn't imagine some years ago. Having international forces in the occupied territories, are you kidding me? Israel of 10 years ago would have gone to war to stop something like this. We need to remember this also. This is not an Israeli win. According to its own philosophy and its own understanding and where it wants to be in the region, Israel is losing badly. Now Turkey has a say in Gaza? Are you serious? Yes, that's the reality. Now Turkey has a say in Gaza. Turkey and Qatar and Saudi Arabia. So Israel's famous or notorious freedom of operation is being limited. What will Israel do? More fuckery. More fuckery, continuing its downward spiral. So I'm not pessimistic at all. The kind of political liberation that requires an international cooperation to free the Palestinians and free Gaza is not possible now because the Western public is in coma and is politically dead, and the Arab world is also politically dead. No one cares. People want Netflix and a sofa. They want to get a promotion. They want the dream of a new house or a new Jeep. This is the limit of Western and Arab imagination now. This is it. Nothing political enters this space, this secluded space. So political liberation, it requires wide collaboration of radical forces and forces for freedom, for equality, for liberation is not possible now. But still, even in this scenario, what guarantees Israel's failure, and it guarantees it, is Israeli insanity, as we will see shortly. That's it for today. Thank you very much. And see you in the Mizrahi Perspective on Substack and on YouTube, on Twitter, and wherever you find me. Thank you and bye-bye.